Hey guys, SickMotion here with the patch 6.19 notes. I did this video yesterday and got it all done. And then there was some issue processing it or something, and it broke, so I have to do it again here. So let's get underway. The first change with this patch notes here, you might notice that Kog'Maw, there's other champions like Anivia right here, but they put their most significant changes right at the front, out of alphabetical order, and then make the rest in alphabetical order. So that's why that's there. Basically, they're going back on what they did with Kog'Maw, turning him into a kind of like turret and removing that doubling the attack speed cap for Kog'Maw. So he no longer can get up to 5 attacks per second. His attack speed is normal like every other champion because it's kind of hard to balance around that. What they did for him though is there's bonus attack speed on his Q. I think that was there before and then removed, and there before and then removed, and then moved over to somewhere else and then removed. Uh, Kog'Maw's been changed so many times I don't really even pay attention to it anymore. So there's no more attack speed cap doubling. His flat magic damage per auto attack is no longer there in his W, but the percentage of target's max health goes up as you level it from 2% to 6%. So he still is kind of a hyper carry. Well, he still is a hyper carry, just kind of different the way the stats are going to be working on him and the way his damage looks. The max health damage ratio is 1% per 100 ability power instead of 0.75. So I've seen AP Kog'Maws even with the other change, so that's a little bit better for them. The bonus range on the W is 40 higher at level 1 and then scales up still to 210, but it's higher at early levels. And the cooldown is 17 seconds at all ranks. It doesn't go down as you level it, so the cooldown stays the same, but the cooldown begins when you cast it rather than when the effect ends, and it is now 8 seconds at all ranks instead of 6. So you cast it, it'll last for 8 seconds, and then it'll go on a cooldown for 9 seconds unless you have CDR. If you have CDR, you got to keep in mind the CDR is going to be taking a percentage of the 18, or sorry, not the 18, the 17, rather than a percentage of at level 5, 7. So with CDR, he's going to be pretty close to being able to have that up 100% of the time for the most part. But yeah, I think this is the first champion rework they've really kind of just went back and been like, nah, it didn't work out. I think he's still going to be the crazy hyper cannon Kog'Maw for Worlds though. I'm pretty sure the last patch, or maybe it was one before that. I'm pretty sure there was one patch, one or two patches before this patch was the one Worlds is going to be played on. So Anivia, damage on her E, base damage nerfed, and chilled damage from that nerfed as well because it's double the base. So just some base damage nerfs on Anivia. Some weird, well, not weird, but changes to Aaron Soul. His passive now scales up to more damage later on in the game. His W, the bonus damage when his W is active, is now much less on the base, and the cost is kind of weird here. It went from 40 mana plus a certain amount per second based on the level of your W to 40 mana plus a little bit less per second later, but more earlier. If you've ever played against a soul in lane, he's able to kind of just walk into lane and leave his W on and just wave clear the entire first wave while harassing you for free, and then kind of roam and push. It cost him a lot of mana, but it did enough damage that it was doable. Now it does less damage, costs more mana. Soul may now cast Common of Legends anytime out of combat, or anytime outside of combat, goes on a 5-second cooldown when taking damage. So I'm not exactly sure. I don't play Aaron Soul that much. So I'm not exactly sure what that is. May now cast it anytime out of combat. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure. I remember when I played him on the PBE, you had to be running for a certain amount of time in a certain direction to use that. So it might be going back to something like that. And now when he casts his Q, while traveling. If cast during Common or Legend, it'll now go in the same direction if it was cast slightly off angle. So if you're going for that long bomb and you need your angles to be perfect, you don't want it to be a couple degrees off because it won't make it properly by the end of your journey. If you're going from one spawn to the other, it should kind of correct itself there. Cassiopeia. I've actually been playing Cassiopeia quite a lot lately when I have to go mid lane. Her W cast range is down 100. It was pretty long. It still is pretty long. And the healing per target, when you hit a poison target with your E, it heals. It has an AP ratio and it has a base ratio. It used to go up by the level of your E. You can see here there's 5 levels. Depending on the level of your E, it would heal you for an amount. Now that heal scales with the level of your character, so it'll be a lot less healing earlier on in the game, because once you're level 9, you could be getting 25, and now even if you're 18, you do be only getting 22. Got to keep in mind that's not the only healing though. There is an AP ratio on it, so she still does get more healing when she gets more AP. Corki base attack damage growth stat is up by 1. His attack damage at level 18 is up by 17. That's a huge buff for Trinity Force, considering that goes off the base damage for that proc, and just a huge buff as far as damage is concerned in general. So, Corki buffs there. I played Corki the other day, and he does so much burst, but still a lot of sustained damage. Mundo's minimum damage on his E is up, and the maximum damage is up as well, and the cooldown is down, so just straight Mundo buffs there. I haven't seen Mundo that much lately, so maybe we'll see him a little bit more. Kled, dismounted damage reduction. Kled's basic attack damage against minions and monsters is no longer reduced by 20%, so but what I get out of that is it's going to be a lot easier to farm on Kled. It's really annoying when you get dismounted and then you don't know how much damage you're going to do because it's just straight up reduced by 20%. You're already having a hard time because you're in the little form. You can't really get around that well. So that'll be helpful there. He did get a nerf on his ult though. The movement speed trail duration is down 2 seconds from 8 to 6, and the range is down early and then scales still the same range that it is right now. I think when people look at Kled, they skip over the utility of his ult. It's just huge utility for his team. Anyone that wants to follow up on and engage has the ability to because of that movement speed into it. It's also a great disengage tool if you're running away from the enemy team. Kled can ult, and then your whole team has basically a Sivir ult for the entire duration of running down that. So very helpful and often overlooked. I mean, I don't see very much Kled either. Leona fixed a bug preventing Leona from flashing during Zenith Blade's cast time. So I guess that's a bigger bug because it made it to its own little splash thing rather than just being in the bugs section. They changed the way Singed Poison Trail works. It ticks 4 times a second. So sort of like the way Rumble's Flamethrower was changed to tick more frequently. That'll actually make it easier to farm. It does the same amount of damage, but it's less likely that you do a tick of damage and a minion kills it before your next tick of damage goes off because you're ticking that damage for the same amount but much faster. And fixed a bug where his slow was lasting for half a second longer than intended. And Soraka, the cooldown on W has been nerfed at early levels. Anything that says Soraka nerf is always fine in my books. So I am a fan of that change there. Twitch, his ambush attack speed is down 20% at level 5. I've been seeing a lot of Twitches lately, and I've seen like the Twitch's team look like they're losing, and then all of a sudden he gets a pentakill or helps kill the entire. Basically, he is the main reason that the enemy team gets aced, and then they lose the game, and they had no business winning that game. So they're toning Twitch down ever so slightly there, and that's good. Udyr Phoenix stance proc damage is up. The burn duration is down 4 ticks over 4 seconds instead of 5 ticks over 5. Burn damage per tick is still unchanged, and Phoenix Stand's burn visual effects updated to better fit the area. So the initial smack of his R will do more damage, which is more reliable to hit because you don't have to stand in range to get all that burn damage off as far as fighting champions. And then to normalize it, it's the ticks are down a little bit. So I mean, Udyr was really, really, really big earlier in the season, and then he kind of stopped getting played. I remember when he was like getting banned every game, and now he's kind of not getting played as much. And there we have it. That's the end of the patch notes here. Pretty short patch. I just, like I said, I wanted to get it out earlier, but I did it, and it just deleted itself, and I wasn't. Oh wait, that's not the end of the patch notes. I don't even know how I forgot this. I just did it. Anyway, Summoner False Alarm. We'll continue doing it here. We won't skip out early. Summoner spells have a 15-second cooldown at load in, so you can no longer burn your flash on the spawn pad while that wall is still up by accident typing, which is really nice quality of life there. Let's see. Undo purchase still subtracts the health gained since the original purchase, but now adds back the health you would have regenerated if you haven't made it the purchase in the first place. So more or less trying to put you to where you would have been if you hadn't done it. A lot of strange calculations, underlaying calculations there, but basically trying to make it the same as what you would have done if you didn't purchase that. There was one thing. Oh, I don't know if it's been addressed in a bug. I was just thinking about it right now. But if you have, say, an Iceborne Gauntlet is what you're going for, or we'll use Frozen Heart. You're going for a Frozen Heart, and you have the Glacial Shroud in your inventory, and that gives you 10% CDR. And now you buy the Frozen Heart, which gives you 20% CDR for the Frozen Heart. I don't know if there's like a delayed bug where, say, you have 10% CDR already, and then you have that Glacial, so you have 20% there. You buy the Frozen Heart, that should put you to 30%. However, that extra 20% applies right away to the 20% you already had, and it takes a couple of seconds for that 10% to drop off from the Glacial. So it's like calculating slowly. And I tried it actually, and if you have that 40% CDR and you use like a global ultimate or you use some kind of ultimate, even though you don't have that CDR because you don't have the item in your inventory, it'll actually apply that amount of CDR to the spell that you have. So I'm wondering if there's been any games that like are coming down to the wire, someone buys while they're getting pushed into their base and is able to win a fight because they have that extra percent CDR from that bug there. Just thought I'd throw that out there, something I was thinking about. I don't know if it's been in the bug sections. I don't usually read through those. But anyway, some new ping things. Pinging an item in the shop generates a chat message letting your team know how much gold you need to purchase the item. That's really cool. It really, like when you're trying to go for a team fight or your team's going for a team fight and you're like 200 gold off an Infinity Edge as an AD carry, you no longer have to type that out and then realize that your team is already a half dead and you're not at the fight because they engage without you. You can just do that instantly. I'm really liking all of these smart pings and being able to ping more stuff than just the map to trigger your teammates because you're mad at them. I'm liking the being able to ping certain objectives, certain timers, certain gold amounts, cooldowns, all of that stuff, just because it does allow you to make those quick communications without having to type in enter, not have access to your skills while your chat box is open. Chat would help all of this a lot more, but this is the next best thing probably. So I am liking the quality that they're putting out with that. And then pings added post-launch, ally and enemy summoner spell cooldowns via the scoreboard. I'm not sure. Enemy summoner spell cooldowns via the scoreboard. I'm not sure if that'll just show them what their base cooldown is. I haven't actually seen that one in play. I'm assuming it would just show the base cooldown, not the actual cooldown, because that would keep track of a lot of information for you for free that you shouldn't have access to if you weren't just manually keeping track of it. Respawn timers, passive with cooldowns, experience, a bunch more items, current gold, and gold for purchase, which is the one that we went through above. So, like I said, I'm a big fan of all of those. And there's some bug fixes here, and chromas, and upcoming skin. Championship Z is actually coming out for real now, I guess. So, There is a current bug or exploit. I'm not sure if it's doable without like a third-party program, but Graves being able to dash infinitely with no cost and very little to no cooldown. I haven't seen what it actually looks like on the character side. I've just seen a character doing it in game. Keeping in mind that Graves gets that stacking armor and magic resistance every time he dashes and reloads a bullet, put all of that together, and there's been some just really broken Graves, not to mention the mobility with it. So I'm not sure if they fixed that in any of these maintenances they've been doing lately, but it wasn't in this patch, so it's still something you might have to watch out for. Anyway, no false alarm here. Like I said, I don't know how I false alarmed it when I literally did these patch notes yesterday and it just bugged out, but there we go. It's done now. Thank you for watching, guys. If you found it helpful, make sure to drop a like, drop a subscribe to the channel, leave a comment if you have anything to say. I don't always reply to the comments. I very rarely reply to the comments on YouTube, but I do read them all for all the videos. So, I mean, as with anything, there's a lot of like random comments and less quality comments, but there is a lot of comments from you guys that are quality, and I do read those. Just because I don't reply doesn't mean I don't see them. So, if you are taking the time out to post it, I do see it. I do take the time to read it just to let everyone know and reassure them. But other than that, social media links and my stream link, as always, in the description. And take it easy till next time, guys.